So I did something just a little bit crazy. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Analogue Diaries. My name is Sai, and I use my planner for absolutely everything in my life. I have raging ADHD, a penchant for taking on maybe a few too many projects, and a lot of personal goals that I want to achieve. And so I have found that I really struggle to find a planner system that works perfectly for me. There have been many attempts, and the closest I have gotten to making a planner work for me is the Hobonichi Techo in the A6 size. I'm a person who needs something that's very portable, but I found that this book either A, didn't have enough flexibility, or B, was missing some more time-bound elements. And so earlier this year, I cut my Hobonichi Techo completely apart, punched holes in it, and placed it in this ring system, which has worked incredibly well for me for 2025. I'll leave the card up above so you can see some of what that setup looked like. But going into the new year, I knew that I wanted to hold on to some of what was familiar and what was working, but also to build new systems, to add new pages, and to add some flexibility. And so what I have decided to do, which may have been just a little insane, was to make my own Hobonichi from scratch. And so what I did over the last few weeks was I spent a lot of time in Canva. I spent a lot of time referencing my partner's 2026 Hobonichi that she picked up. And I have been slowly and surely recreating each of the spreads in my own way and making it a little more tailored to me. And so I was thinking today what I would do is walk you through some of what I made, talk a little bit about how I intend to use this system, and also I'll share with you where you could pick up these printables as well. To begin, the cover that I'm using with this setup is the A6 Troggin in Oak Moss. There's nothing particularly special about mine. I just really enjoy this color, and I find that it's really beneficial and good for my planning and my needs to have my most used pens and planning material right here in the front pocket. It makes it so that it's more difficult to lose track of these pens and pencils, and I'm able to make sure that I always have everything I need with my planner. In addition to that, I really enjoy having the Troggin for a second reason, which I haven't really seen many people talk about, but the Troggin can be folded back with the magnet to stand on its side as like a little easel or tripod. And so when I'm working at my desk, and given my horrific working memory as a result of my ADHD, I can always have my tasks and my to-do list clearly visible at all times, which is an incredibly beneficial part of this system. And so for that reason, I will continue to be using the Troggin going into 2026. In addition to the cover itself, I of course have my most used materials, which I guess I didn't really go into, but in here I keep 3 mild liners of varying colors for my color-coded habit tracking system, an eraser, a pair of scissors, and some whiteout. My most used pen for this system, and honestly my only used pen for this system, is the 5-in-1 Uni Jetstream ballpoint pen. This pen has 4 different colors and a mechanical pencil in one body, which means that it's very sleek, very compact, and I have everything that I could ever need in order to color code. In this front pocket, I currently have something that will not live here for very long, but this is my media log for 2025. But going into 2026, I'll make new ones, and so those will be gone soon, but for now, they're just up here. And then in this front pocket, I have some printed pieces that I made. This is an approximation of what the dailies on top of the Hobonichi Techo look like, just so I can hold on to some of that familiar design language that we all know and love. And additionally, I left these circles blank because for me, I don't find that I really reference the lunar calendar very much, but I have been toying with the idea of doing some mood tracking. And so in these circles, I can draw a little smiley face, sad face, what have you. The circles could also be used for a color code of some sort, so maybe a habit tracker that you're trying to do every day and tracking the dailies for whatever reason, anything that your heart desires. And so that is left blank for more flexibility of purpose. And day to day, what I expect to do is just cut these out and stick them in on the top of my page. The reason I did it like this, as opposed to printing an individual page with each of these on top, I don't use the daily page in my Hobonichi at all. And there are many days where I need multiple pages. And so I can use the header on the first page and have 2, 3, 4, 5 pages so that I'm able to really write as much as my heart desires. In my setup, I have the old punched cover. This is just for looks mostly, and I imagine I'll get rid of it at some point, but it also functions really well as a pencil board in order to make sure that this is all nice and flat when I'm writing on this side. All right, so let's keep going. This here is my year at a glance page. I use my year at a glance page to track the academic calendar, any days of note, or any days off. And so the green denotes any days off in the year, yellow denotes the add or drop periods, finals, exams, that kind of thing. And then I have a 2027 glance and a academic semester plan. This is just a list of all of my required courses in the order I expect to take them, and it's a nice way to have some reference material available to me. This page is currently blank, but it will eventually house my yearly goals for 2026. I'm still working on developing those and really setting actionable steps. And so for now, this is blank, but it will eventually have my 2026 goals and resolutions. And then we get into the habit tracker section. In the Hobonichi pages that look like this, I always do a monthly habit tracker, and so I'll be continuing on with that system. The only major changes I've made is that I have gotten rid of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday portion of the trackers, just because I find that I can use the extra space for an extra habit, and I have a habit of drawing a line after each week, so it becomes pretty easy to parse out what's Monday and what's Tuesday, etc. So I have printed one of those for every month of the year. And then I have what I like to call my ideal week. This is a blank weekly spread that I made so that I'm able to map out where I would like to spend my time. Next year, for example, I know I will have classes Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, and so I can block off that time and kind of decide, oh, in the mornings I want to do these things, in the afternoons I want to do these things. Fridays are free, Tuesdays are free, what do I want to do with my time? And that way I have a good idea of what my capacity is, where I could add more projects, and where I need to let things go to make more time for myself. And then we have a little divider made of the Hobonichi M paper, and we get into the monthly sections. This is the current month, this is December, and this is a great example of how I typically use my monthly spreads. It's very bare bones, pen forward, but it generally is just for planning out what I'm doing on a given weekend, what my week looks like, and keeping track of appointments, stuff like that. And I have indeed printed one for every single month of next year, and I am really looking forward to getting started in using them. So first up in my weekly section is my dopamine menu. This is an exercise that's very commonly prescribed to people who have ADHD, but I think it can be fun for a lot of folks. It's essentially just a list of fun things that you like to do, and it's a way to make sure that when you have free time, that free time is going towards something that allows you to rest, recharge, and energize yourself, as opposed to doing something that is a default bad habit, like scrolling, for example, or skin picking, or anything of that nature. And so in my dopamine menu, every month, I write down just a few things that I'm looking forward to doing and would like to do before the end of the month. In the sides and apps, I have a number of small, quick things that I can do alongside other tasks. Things like listening to music while I work, or doing a quick journal entry. And it's a way to really add just little bits of joy throughout my daily life. In the entrees, I have larger activities like baking seasonal cookies or going out to local events. That can be something I can kind of make a day of. And then desserts are something that I can only really do once, or something that I want to portion out for myself. Things like spending a little extra money and taking myself out to a spa day, or decorating a Christmas tree, and that kind of thing. On the back of that page, I have something decidedly less fun. This is my Eisenhower matrix of all the different projects and priorities I have in my life right now. It's a great way for me to really stay on top of the many, many projects I tend to take on. This is lab work, school work, personal projects, and just things I have been meaning to do or get to. Things like job hunting, working on my final projects, doing a lit review, that sort of thing. Next up is a page that I am currently using because I have not made a December habit tracker, but this page will disappear from my final setup and will likely be blank in order to house dashboards, monthly goals, or anything like that. And then we get into the weekly. All right, sorry about that. I took a quick break to go ahead and turn some lights on as we are losing daylight here. But this is my weekly setup, and it has been my daily driver for months now and worked really, really well for me. I have a daily view that runs from 6 in the morning to 9:30 in the evening, with each grid representing a half hour. And in this view, I'm able to schedule things that are time bound, and then in any empty space, I just write my tasks. Ideally, I like to do that in some sort of order with some sort of understanding of what I do before which event, but it gets pretty messy. I migrate things, I cross things out. It is not pretty, but it is incredibly functional for me. In addition to the weekly pages themselves, I also often will have tasks that I need to do within the week, but that aren't time-bound day to day. When I have tasks like that, I will frequently place them on a little scrap piece of paper, punch it, and throw it in the middle so that it's visible with the rest of my week, but it's not taking up space where time-bound tasks may need to go. I use this bar here on the left for any random notes, trackers, or things I need to keep an eye on. And on the top here, you'll notice that I actually have punched extra holes. And so this is where this setup really shines for me and is really great at keeping me on task during the workday. Because these holes are punched at the top, I am able to put my pages in this way and really take advantage of the Trogon's ability to trifold me. And so then I am able to place it just like this on my desk, work away, type away on my computer, and my tasks list is always right in front of me. I always know what I'm working on, what I need to be doing next, what I need to be prepared for, that sort of thing. And I find that having it open and having it clearly visible at all times is an absolute must for me with my ADHD. And so you'll see I keep a couple weeks of pages in here, and you'll also notice I am missing my January through December. I am the type that when these pages no longer serve their function, I honestly will rip them out and throw them away, and I have no qualms about that. That is because my larger notebook and journal ecosystem has memory keepers that are much more intentional, much more beautiful, and more about capturing things that I find deeply meaningful. The day-to-day mundanities of tasks like doing the laundry or exactly which assignment I was working on, I find is not as meaningful to me in my memory keeping as the way I was feeling, the experiences I had, and the time I spent with loved ones. And so anything meaningful in these pages will go into my dedicated memory keeper, and then these pages become redundant and they're not particularly beautiful to look at, and so I will just toss them. And so you'll see there is quite a lot of variety in how much I write. On weeks where I am exceedingly busy, these were my 2 finals weeks, it gets filled up quite a bit. But then on weeks where maybe I am at a day-long event like this paper chase, or I have nothing to do, I'm on winter break, they get untouched, and I am totally fine with that. And then my final section in here is just a notes section. I keep scrap paper in the back to use for that extra task list purpose that we went over. And then I also will have blank paper in here to scratch out ideas or to make daily pages if I find myself needing that. As of late, I haven't really been needing that because I have been using the weekly just so much. And so instead, I've been using these notes pages in the back to study Vietnamese. Eventually, I will pull these pages out and put blank paper back in. But for now, this is working well for me, and I'm on holiday break, and so I don't really need to worry about long days of very dedicated task management. And so yeah, that is everything I have to show you today. This has been quite the labor of love and has definitely driven me just a little crazy at moments. I've had a lot of issues with flipping pages and making sure stuff lines up, but it is done, it is complete, and I am finding it quite useful. In the case that you're interested in doing something like this yourself, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions in the comments. And the printables that I made of my own designs are available at Patreon. Everything is available for purchase just as a one-time purchase, or you can sign up as a Patreon subscriber and get new pages every month. I do offer these in the personal wide size, which I call my custom Hobonichi size, for setups exactly like mine, but it is also available in a more traditional pocket ring size and a personal ring size. So yeah, that is everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're interested in doing anything like this yourself, please let me know in the comments. I would be happy to provide some guidance, answer any questions, and I have done a couple of videos on how I made this setup, and so they'll be on screen right here. And I wish you the best in your planners in 2026. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you're able to make some time for yourself. Bye!